Groundhog's Day. And where I live, it's going to be about 70 degrees, sunny, birds are singing, etc. So I'm prepping for next fall. Also cleaning up the mess from this fall. Hickory. She'll get some split. It's windy. I guess it's just going to be windy today, so sorry I don't really edit this stuff or have a anti-wind device. But I wanted to talk about the sawbuck and limbwood real quick. I probably won't be splitting a lot of wood today, or at least on this video, so sorry, but I like to process the limbs, if I get my hands on them, of a couple of different types of trees. And this is how I do it. I don't do it on every tree because most of the time it's brush pile material. I do think there's value in it. Wood value, heat value, and time value. Cutting a piece like this with the chainsaw and then stacking it is just as fast as knocking pieces like this out of a round. So, and you get the added benefit of kindling. I'm always looking for kindling, even though I'm surrounded by woods, knowing that I've got handfuls of this stuff dry. You know, those guys with a few of these little thumb size sticks, and you get a couple like that going, you got a fire. And I do think there's value in that. So there's two things I'm doing. One, these limbs have been trimmed and cleaned off, but you know, they came like this from the tree guys. I've cleaned this one off some too. Most of them have the twigs still on them. You know, all this stuff. And I've got a really sharp axe here that I keep super sharp for this kind of stuff. It's a Northman Stalwart forest axe. I've got a hickory handle in it because I broke the other one because I'm a meathead. But this is an axe that I only cut green wood with, and so it stays really sharp, and it's light enough to do this type of work one-handed, and it's big enough that I can use two hands and power through big stuff. So yeah, I like to just trim this stuff up with an axe like this. Usually I put it on the stump down here. Get stuff in the way. And then just kind of get it to where it's touching the wood, and then at like a 45-degree angle. It doesn't really matter which way. You've got a long handle, so you should be safe. You should do it on the opposite side of your block. But stuff is pretty easy to chop through. One or two decent strokes, and then you can get a bunch of these little pieces. Now I can throw this on the sawbuck and cut it, but I kind of like to do it this way. It's quiet, and it doesn't take that much effort. And you can continue to break this stuff down. You get a hatchet and do it if you wanted to. You can actually just do this by hand. Some of these twigs will just break right off. But again, I don't do this for every tree, but I do feel like it's worth it on at least one or two trees a year. Even now, it's February, and pretty warm week coming up, but we've still got lots of burning to do. And the one thing that we always run short on is medium to small stuff for starting fires, especially if we're starting one in the evening. And so this is going to be, you know, a nice cache next fall of twigs and these sizes. So, all right, that's what I do with the sticks. I'll trim it off, and it's like splitting. The best way to do it is from the tree to the small ends of the canopy. That's just the easiest way to contact the wood with the axe. It goes against the right kind of grain and snips them off really, really easy. This looks kind of gangly and awkward, but it's really not. And I don't typically do it on my sawbuck here. I do it down there, but you know, for visual education. I didn't see that. I guess I should check that out. Yeah, okay. And this doesn't mean the length doesn't matter all that much. It's easier to do it right above or right below a branch joint. But if it's 4 inches or 2 inches or 3 inches, it's really no wrong size. I guess 2 would be a little impractical, but you don't need to worry about, is it 16 inches, you know. You're gonna pile and bundle this stuff in the stove or the fireplace. So pieces like that are fine, and they're not hard to manage. So I don't really worry about that too much. Also on this, I'm not gonna get my tape out and measure this stuff. I am going to just cut it kind of where it lies, and that's it. So I'll show you that now that I've done some of these. Today I've got the ultimate horsepower saw. This is a Steel AK-20 battery operated. I got the big saws, okay? I got the gas ones with all the horsepower and the warthogs coming out of it and all that stuff. But I hate those because they're so loud and so dangerous. But those are the big tools to do the big work. This is much quieter, and it's Sunday morning here, and so I like it when I can use this because it's quiet, and my neighbors don't have to hear it as much. You know, people don't really realize that everything they do, their neighbors can hear, especially if it's got a motor on it. So I try to run those kinds of things the least amount as possible. So yeah, little bitty guy. This thing's great. It's not super loud or anything. It's a little loud, but not like those gas ones. So I'm just gonna come in here and literally cut the ends off for the most part. I got this sawbuck design off of Firewood for Life's YouTube channel. I think it's pretty much the same design they've got, except I just used some scrap one by sassafras instead of all pressure treated. But this is pressure treated and it works really good. I can pick it up and move it myself. I don't need help. It's not heavy, but it's really sturdy, so I really like this one. You got to be careful when you're sawing through a bunch of limbs like this. You can knock the chain off. That may happen, and we'll just deal with it. And you know, you could have some pinches, but if you cut your wood the right way, basically to where the weight falls away, you should avoid pinching. So that's what I'm going to attempt to do here. One thing about these electric saws that is a little dangerous is when they're on, they're on. You know, but you can't hear it, right? Whereas the gas one, you know that motor's running, you can hear it going. Well, you hit these buttons right, this thing's gonna go off. So you gotta remember it's always on. Starting some of these little knotty pieces, I probably could have stacked it better, but that right there will go in the smoker really nice. So I don't mind having a few of those lying around too. Or like in the charcoal grill, a couple pieces like that, really flavor that. Bolts. You shouldn't be hitting those if you're watching at all what you're doing. one tip on cutting small wood like this. So the reason why I wanted to make the sawbuck is it can move around, and when these are on the ground, they're really hard to deal with. But also because they're light, they'll move when the saw hits them. So you really need to get it as close to the saw as possible if it's starting to move. That way the saw can pull it into the saw. If you do it out here, it's just going to roll it like that. But if you get it up against the saw, it doesn't do that. And that's really for all firewood. Up against the saw is probably the safest way to cut it. This also gets it where you're not leaning over. You know, the low back stress is the number one area of the body that is taxed by wood cutting. With a little bit of proper technique, you can avoid that kind of inflammation. Exactly what I'm doing here. A little bit of readjusting, it's okay. See, I did that way out there, whipped it around. Also, reinforced boots are good because this stuff can fall on your feet. Not a necessity. That's kind of what I'm up to today. I don't really like doing chainsaw videos because saws are really loud and they suck to listen to, but I thought this would be okay. So the buds. Oopsie daisies. Red or shagbark hickory, and this is the heartwood, sapwood, all that stuff. It's all kind of the same on this Limbwood, meaning you don't get a lot of waste from this. That's why this and beech are the best two for that. You can do it with oak. White oak's best, but with this piece, bark comes off, and with white oak, the heartwood and sapwood, they burn the same. There's nothing wrong with the sapwood as far as BTUs go, but this stuff can get punky as this part dries out. You know, it just takes so long for this to dry out. It's not the best. Small pieces like that, it's not that big of a deal because you're kind of using that as kindling, but it just gets messy, so I don't do a whole lot of oak that way. But hickory, oh yeah, beech, hard maple, sugar maple, that's a pretty good one. Black locust is not, because black locust gets really dirty when the sapwood rots. The heartwood will last for 40 years. The sapwood will last like a year, and then it gets really dusty, and the bark falls off and flakes. don't recommend. You know, and sometimes it's just, that's all you got is one of those left, and you got to kind of deal with it. Works out. When you are cutting wood like this, where you're going through multiple pieces with the saw, you want to watch the tip because it can kick back. Which is why, even though this is really small work, a top handle saw is what I would recommend, because you got one arm like this. If you're on those little saws that are like that, you don't have as much downward control on it. This is pretty light duty, so. If you went that other route, it wouldn't be the end of the world. These pieces don't need to be split again. I'm going to give them a whole summer. But if I was bored and wanted to split them, it wouldn't be a bad idea, because with that bark on there, even though these are small and shorter pieces, it will retain so much more moisture. But I'm hoping that if I go, you know, it's February now, I'm hoping by the end of the summer, into the fall, that stuff will be ready to go. But some of these other pieces I might knock apart. Knock that one apart a bit. Install a board there to catch some of this stuff, but then it would kind of really stack up in there. I don't know, maybe I will. That's that. Hope that helps. Wait, let's flip this one real quick. I missed, but that'll open that up just plenty.